Much has changed in America since the terror attacks on 9/11 nearly 20 years ago. But maybe not our mindset. The attack on the U.S. Capitol last month may change that.
Critics say for too long we have ignored the risk of violent extremism coming from American soil. A threat that doesn't appear to be going anywhere anytime soon. Here's Tom Lydon of the Fox 9 Investigators.
We are here today because we reject Marxism in America. We reject Antifa. We reject BLM.
The political extremes have now taken center stage.
What's the noise?
With rhetoric that inflames passions, even as it feeds our nation's deepest fears.
Y'all want violence?
Do you want to fight one-on-one and have your
We
guns
can
ready?
do that.
I think the most fascinating part is that these individuals actually have more in common than they might think.
Minnesota filmmaker Mason Hendricks has spent the last year documenting protests around the country and across the ideological spectrum. From the sacking of the 3rd Precinct to the riots in Kenosha, from Stop the Steal rallies in St. Paul to the nation's capital.
They respect our space, we respect theirs. It is what it is.
If politics makes for strange bedfellows, the last year has practically been an orgy.
They love to go at each other. It's like a game to them.
From Proud Boys taunting BLM
Y'all know what the Proud Boys about.
to Antifa finding common ground with Boogaloo Boys.
There's a lot of people here that I believe in.
I think that they think that their way of life is somehow being attacked or infringed, and they get mad about it. And they're just not willing to accept change. And change scares most people, and it activates them, it radicalizes them.
It's become an entire ecosystem of extremism, from militia groups, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists to anti-government conspiracy groups. According to one study, right-wing extremists were behind 67% of the terror plots and attacks last year in the U.S., even before the insurrection at the Capitol, while anarchist, anti-fascist, and similar groups on the left accounted for 20% of the violence. But what do you do when the enemy is part of America? When does extremism cross the line into domestic terrorism?
How do you do the balance where you are not the thought police and you are focused on the illegal activity?
You're right, there's a fine line there, but it's a very hard line for us in that, as you mentioned, we don't police thought, we don't police ideology.
Michael Paul is in charge of the Minneapolis FBI and has a long resume in fighting domestic terrorism.
You realize that at the end of the day, it doesn't take a very sophisticated plan or plot in order to do some real damage and inflict some serious violence.
For federal prosecutors, these two Boogaloo Boys checked all the boxes. Michael Solomon and Benjamin Teeter showed up at the George Floyd protests in May, and according to an indictment, threatened to attack the National Guard armory, bomb an historical courthouse, or take out a police station. But their undoing, prosecutors say, was a plot to send firearm suppressors to the group Hamas, unaware they were really talking to an FBI informant.
Without question, our greatest risk, and we see the greatest potential for violence, is coming from a lone offender.
But in listening to the vast amount of chatter on social media, the FBI must separate signal from noise. What is aspirational versus operational? The kind of chatter that prompts the FBI's Minneapolis field office to send out a bulletin like this one a couple months ago, warning of violence from the Boogaloo movement. A so-called collaborative source telling the FBI Boogaloo members did reconnaissance of the Minnesota Capitol and identified law enforcement sniper locations and considered breaking into federal buildings. And at least one follower expressed his willingness to die for the Boogaloo movement.
Feds have all been to their houses.
Nothing ever materialized, and Hendricks believes the Boogs, as he calls them, are sending agents on a wild goose chase.
That someone on the inside has been found out and they're being fed disinformation.
Today, the FBI can't tell you how many people white supremacists killed last year because they don't collect that information.
Michael German's a former FBI agent who's gone deep undercover in white supremacist groups.
That's one thing that I couldn't understand about this affinity that developed between law enforcement and these far-right militant groups, is that they regularly kill police officers. And the fact that they had taken the tactical choice of putting the Blue Lives Matter patch on their jackets and acting chummy with law enforcement was a ruse. And how law enforcement didn't understand that shocks me.
That blind spot, German says, keeps law enforcement from connecting the dots between criminal behavior at events like the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville and the insurrection 4 years later at the Capitol.
Because as in Minnesota, there were far-right militants coming in, engaging in the most serious violence during these protests, and yet there was the impression that it was this so nebulous Antifa that was doing it, and it blinded them to what was the real threat.
That threat can come from lone wolves or agent provocateurs like Umbrella Man, who broke out the windows of the AutoZone, setting off the vandalism that led to the burning of the 3rd Precinct. Identified by law enforcement as a member of the Aryan Cowboys, the Fox 9 investigators discovered he's also a member of the Hells Angels. Through an attorney, he denied that he's Umbrella Man, and 9 months later, he has yet to be charged with a crime.
Why do you think the intelligence community treats the right-wing extremist threat, the white supremacist threat, differently than other terroristic threats?
Well, they empathize with it. They have some acceptance of knowledge of that, well, this is somebody who just is disgruntled with the government, and we always had that. And that could look like my uncle, that could look like my neighbor.
Jaylani Hussein says his community has seen both sides of the war on terror.
It's because we live it, bro.
Right-wing militia members bombed a mosque in Bloomington, but the community also came under suspicion when 40 young men were charged with traveling to Somalia and Syria to fight for terror groups. Though they never threatened America directly, many were given long 20-year sentences. Meanwhile, someone like Dayton Sauk, charged with threatening to kill police at the Minneapolis Capitol, is looking at only a fraction of the time. Hussein worries the FBI is set up to make the same mistakes all over again.
We have continued what we have done in this country, which is to continually marginalize people of color and people who are not the majority, instead of actually going after credible threat. And credible threat can come from someone who looks like you, and that's the hardest for law enforcement.
Why, he wonders, do we never ask of right-wing extremists, how were they radicalized? Who recruited them? The answer is often the same: social media, where algorithms amplify division, making it easier for Russia and other nations to find and exploit the fault lines in America's social fabric. And if you think this chapter of extremism is over, just wait.
My concern is that there is a hardcore element within these groups that is now much stronger because they've been allowed to travel around the country and recruit and establish networks.
The only answer to our problem, the only answer to this governmental infringement is armed revolt.
And chances are the usual suspects all have their calendars marked for Minneapolis in March and the trial of Derek Chauvin. Another chance to create chaos.
You will have people coming from everywhere.
They want us to fight.
They want us to fight.
And there remains an even more frightening possibility that for all their differences, the extremists may yet discover the hate they really have in common.
But we all should come together. We all band together.
For the Fox 9 investigators, I'm Tom Lydon.